Hey guys, welcome back to Just Being a Mom podcast, and today we are talking all about cesarean section. I almost forgot what we're talking about. Cesarean section versus vaginal birth. So this is like one of my favorite topics. I'm so excited to talk about it. But first, guys, I hope you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving and you didn't work too hard. I personally did not cook because, not that I can't, but I didn't feel like it. I'm pregnant and I just don't feel like doing that right now. Next year, maybe, but we shall see. So, but I hope you guys, but we did eat for sure. We definitely ate good, okay? But I hope you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving and are excited about Christmas. We're not putting up our Christmas tree just yet. With a toddler, unless you have somewhere where you can like guard it or like put a gate around it, we don't. But with Elijah, he just terrorizes the tree. We can only decorate the top, like everything at the bottom is just like terrorized, and so we're waiting for that. We'll probably do it like 2 weeks before Christmas, but we'll see. We'll do some other decorating to get into like the Christmas spirit. But yeah, we're so excited for the holidays. So excited. What else is going on? I think that's really it, guys. Of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, so you guys can keep on coming back. This is my reeling you in, coming back. But anyway, so let's get started. I chose this topic because ever since I found out that I was pregnant, I have been going back and forth whether I should plan a C-section or try to give vaginal birth again. So long story short, if you haven't heard my birth story, I don't think I've done a birth story episode. That's so crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna try to sum it up for you, and I will do one in the future. But I was with a midwife and I tried to give birth in the water. I had to be transferred to the hospital, was in labor for maybe about 42 hours. And then the doctors just decided to give me a C-section. It was a lot. It was very traumatic. It was awesome being with my midwife. The care that I had with my midwife was excellent. So yeah, I loved all of it, but the process of like being in labor was very traumatic from the time we got to the hospital. Or from the time that she told me like we need to go to the hospital. That's when it all kind of just like went downhill. I was just like, oh, my dream birth story is like fading away. So I've been trying to decide whether to just plan the C-section or do I want to try it all over again? Do I want to see if, obviously because vaginal birth is like the best way for the baby. If I could just do it again. But this is a 2-part episode. So next week I'm going to talk about like kind of the decisions that I'm making. I'm leaning 90% one way. But of course, when you make plans, God laughs. Like, because I could plan a C-section and God would be like, oh, you're going to go into labor a week before and have the baby naturally. Okay, fine. Or I could plan to do it all natural again and I could end up having a C-section again. So whatever God wants is what God's going to get. But I think it's always important that moms have a plan going into the hospital, that you kind of know what you're doing, because it could be so intricate when you get there. Like, there's so many ways you can do kind of like the birth that you want. I remember we wanted delayed cord clamping and I wanted some skin to skin when the baby came out. Obviously, like doing a C-section, you're not gonna get all that, but you can definitely request it, let them know what you're wanting. One of my friends had like her birth room, like very serene. She had like candles, like dim lights, like, no cords or anything. It was just kind of like being at a birth center. or giving birth at home. So you can make it what you want. So try to have a plan, but at the end of the day, God's gonna do what he wants to do. But this is kind of an episode, for this first episode, I wanna give you guys kind of the pros and cons of a vaginal birth, as well as the pros and cons to a cesarean section, and try to help you kind of gauge like what you are wanting and like kind of the different experiences that I got with my midwife versus with an OB. I'm with an OB now. But I'll explain everything next episode. So tune in next week as well so you don't miss part 2. So you can find out like what I'm doing, what my plans are, and just like pray for me, because because I need your help. Like, we all are in this together. It takes a village to have a baby. It takes a village to raise a baby. And we all just kind of need like advice and want to be here for each other, but making the best decisions for yourself. And because vaginal birth may not be for you. Cesarean birth may not be for you. So I want to help. I've always said this, like, I want to help moms make better decisions for themselves and not be so dependent on like, okay, well, what's that mom doing? Or what's this mom doing? Or what'd she do? Or how did she do it? No, like, everybody's different. Everybody was raised differently. Everybody has different personalities. Everybody has a different family dynamic. So you want to make the decisions based on like what's best for you and your family. So let's get started. So with vaginal birth, obvi, like, every doctor is gonna want you to have a vaginal birth. It's safer. It's the way God intended on having a baby. But that's not to say like things don't happen and you have to have a C-section, of course, to make sure mom and baby are safe, like I did. I was in labor so long, it was just like, it could be dangerous to stay in labor so long. So it's just like, hey, let's just take the baby out now. And at that point I was just like, yes, please, just take the baby out. Just kidding. There's a victim out of there. He didn't, obviously I'm like a really great host. Like, babies just don't want to leave my body. Granted, I've only had one baby, but I'm still a great host. Like, he didn't want to leave. Like, he's just like, no, I'm good here. Let's stay. Let's chill. Let's do this another 9 months. And I'm like, no, friend, you gotta go. But anyway, so I wrote some notes down. So if I'm looking down, sorry. So some of the pros of having a vaginal birth, you have a more positive birth experience. You can feel the baby going through. It's just like this whole like experience that like, it's just like you're giving this life to the world and you just feel so like empowered and so like, I'm every woman, like, I know I can't sing, but just like, it's just like this amazing experience that's like can't even be explained with words. It's amazing. I mean, I didn't go through it, but like I heard, like that's what happens. Shorter recovery time. So your body, usually like within like a week, I've heard like a week has been like the soonest time like you've been able to just like be yourself again and like get up, move, do everything. With a C-section, it's about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks before you can just like know how to crawl out of bed because you have got this huge hole in your body. And mind you, like, it's not, I'll get to the C-section later. Okay, let's stick to the vaginal because you guys know how I like to get off topic. It's a shorter recovery time. You get to experience like that skin to skin, right? When the baby comes out, like I've seen moms like pull the baby out and like get that, like it's a different experience. Like it's something so amazing giving birth to a human. Like it's beyond words. So yeah, skin to skin, and less medical complications because that's just, sometimes you can even if you give birth vaginally, you can leave the hospital the same day. they're gonna give you trouble about it because they want to keep you and monitor the baby, and they got to send everybody in there to see the baby, test the baby, do all that. But you can honestly take your baby to your pediatrician like the next few days and do all of that. But yeah, you can leave the same day. So don't let them think you can't, okay? Because if you give birth at home, you're at home, like you stay at home. But a good thing about staying in the hospital is you do have help, especially if it's your first baby, you do have help with breastfeeding. If it's like your fourth baby, like, you know what you're doing, right? You can just go. Don't spend those extra $1,000 in the hospital when you can go home. Okay, so cons. Waiting for waiting for baby to come. You don't know, you can't like plan like family visits. You're just like waiting for the baby to like arrive, and that's super annoying. Bladder control. I've heard so many stories about my friends peeing on themselves and like not being able to stop the pee, peeing when they like cough, and having to like change their panties 2 times a day. Like, it doesn't happen to every mom, but it happens. 90% of my friends who've had a vaginal birth pee themselves. So there's that. And tearing. Oh my gosh, I've heard so many tearing stories, but they do stitch you back up. They can even put an extra stitch in there. It's called the daddy stitch. Tighten it up for daddy. I mean, you don't need to get that. I just thought that was funny. So anyways, so on to C-section. So a lot of the pros for a C-section is you can control when the baby comes. You can control when the baby comes. You can pick the birthday. You can plan, like if you have another child, you can plan childcare. So yeah, if your child is going to be a Leo or a Virgo, you can decide. If you're done with being pregnant and you want to have the baby at 38 weeks, you're like, no, let's speed this along. We got to go. So yeah, you can decide when the baby comes. You're more in control. No pelvic floor damage, like I was talking about before. Like I don't just pee myself. I don't have to pee all the time either. Just go when I want. Well, when I need. And if you have STDs, that's a big thing. Like if you have AIDS or herpes or even a yeast infection, a C-section brings down a C-section eliminates the possibility of you transferring any infectious diseases to the baby. Granted, these diseases can be suppressed so that you are able to have a vaginal birth. But in those cases, it is a lot safer to have a C-section, but consult with your doctor, because if they can suppress it while you're giving birth, then you're good to go, you know? Consult the doctor. I'm not a doctor. And so yeah, that's another pro to giving a C-section. So the cons, some cons that I found. It's major surgery, so it is dangerous. It is not the normal way to give birth. They are cutting you open, pulling out your intestines. You do have to sign a bunch of papers for them to do that. So it's like not the most fun thing. No immediate contact. They just like put the baby near your head, and then you're like, oh, hi baby. And then they rush off, and then the baby's somewhere with the dad doing who knows what, and they're sewing you back up. Less opportunity for a VBAC. So usually if you have a C-section, they're gonna push another C-section on you instead of letting you try naturally again. Not every doctor, but usually they're like, oh, the percentage of you having a C-section is higher the second time. And sometimes the baby will have respiratory problems because from a C-section, fluid does get in the lungs, but it doesn't happen all the time. I know with Elijah, he had some fluid in his lungs, but he was able to cough it up his first day of life. So yeah. So guys, so make the decision for yourself, but just try to remember that this is just one day and you have the rest of your life to enjoy your baby. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. See you next time.